The most successful print-on-demand sellers know that good mockups can be the difference between your product actually getting seen, clicked on, and purchased, and other people just scrolling right on past you. Now, this is something that is often overlooked in the process of creating print-on-demand items because it typically comes on the end. You spent a lot of time researching, making your title, description, and sometimes the mockup can just be an afterthought. You want to just get this posted as quickly as possible, so you skip out on really one of the most important things. But if you go ahead and take a look at the front pages of a place like Etsy, the top 1% of sellers are never just having generic mockups that they auto-generated from somewhere. They are always spending a lot of time and attention choosing a mockup that is going to help them actually make sales. So if you've really been wanting to level up your mockup game, in today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the best hacks that I have been using in my own print-on-demand business to help my products not only sell way faster and get more views and clicks, but also the hacks that save me a ton of time in making my mockups. So it's not something I'm ever tempted to skip because it doesn't add a lot of time. And after all those hacks, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm actually going to show you a full tutorial of how I create all of my mockups in under just 2 minutes. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Now, before we jump into those hacks, I did want to mention that I actually have a free class for you guys. I've been working on a workshop all about niche research. It's going to be linked down below in the description. This is just another free resource that lets me go a little bit more in depth about a free research process that I use in my own business and share just more steps and details than I would be able to in a regular YouTube video. So if you want access to that free class, make sure you just register down below and I'll send you all the details in your email of how to watch that. Now let's just jump right into these hacks. Now, the first thing that you definitely don't want to be doing is using those auto-generated mockups from a place like Printify or Printful if you are using them as your production partner. Now, I personally use Printify, and one of the things that they offer is when you upload your design to link it to your Etsy shop, they are going to auto make some mockups for you. Now, there's nothing truly wrong with these mockups, but one of the biggest problems is A, they just look a little bit generic, and B, since so many people are using Printify as their production partner, there are just thousands and thousands of pages of these exact mockups. So you're not really differentiating yourself if you are going to stick with a mockup like this. Now, what I do like to do with the mockups from Printify is I actually will use these as the following images before that first thumbnail picture. Now, that is one of my first hacks, is that you don't have to necessarily change all of the mockup photos in your listing. You really can make a big impact by just changing that first mockup, because that is what people are going to see when they are scrolling through tons of different products. So you're really going to get the biggest bang for your buck by changing that first photo. Now, another thing that I think is really important to think about, and this has also saved me not only a lot of time, but also a lot of money in my business, is by not trying to purchase every single mockup that I'm going to use individually. So the reasons that I don't really like to do this is, one, you spend so much time just searching Etsy listings for mockups and mockup bundles. And then if you find something that you like, you pay for it and you own that now, but then say this doesn't really work for your product, your listings, it's not getting the kind of traction you want. If you want to switch it out with something else, you have to go back and purchase a totally new mockup. So this can really add up pretty quickly, and it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility to test tons of different photos and mockups and see what is going to really resonate with your audience. So I personally like to use some kind of mockup subscription service. Now, the one that I have been using for years, I love them, and I'm actually partnering with them in this portion of the video, is Placeit. Now, you guys have heard me talk about Placeit all the time, but basically they are a tool specifically for print-on-demand sellers. So they have tons of different resources for designing and making items, but one of the areas that I use the most is going to be their mockup library. Now, they have thousands and thousands of different photos that you can use to create mockups in just a couple minutes. And by paying just one small monthly fee, you are going to have access to their entire library. You can download those and use on any of your items. months. But what I really love is I can definitely test out a bunch of different things. So if I want to see if one type of mock-up is going to work better, I can put that on some of my listings and then test out a different kind of model or a different type of mock-up on another group of listings. And then I can generally see which ones are doing better. And then I can play around with switching those out as I get more data and more information about what my shoppers are actually engaging with. So I'll have all of Placeit's information linked down below. If you do want to create an account with them, they have both free and paid plans. So I definitely recommend just giving them a try if you never have before. Now, the next big mock-up tip that I really like to tell people is that mock-ups with people in them tend to do very well. When I first got started selling on Etsy, I typically used a lot of what we call flat lay mock-ups that just kind of have like a shirt with a bunch of nice items around it, kind of laid out on a table, and those can do pretty well, but I have found the most success using mock-ups that actually have people in them. Something about seeing an item on a person, I think, really helps sell the item. And I find that even when I'm shopping for things, I'm a lot more drawn to the items that have someone wearing them. So it makes sense that other people are looking for that too. Now, when you do use models in your mock-ups, the one thing I do want you to steer clear of is actually showing the model's face in the mock-up. We really want to be bringing all the attention to what the print-on-demand items that we are selling actually say or the design that they have on them. So I typically find that the best way to kind of crop your items for maximum impact is going to be kind of right around the chin area and then right around where the belly button is. Enough space that you can see the full print-on-demand item that you're selling, but then you're not distracted by the model's face. And then to piggyback right off of that, I definitely think you should be making sure that the model that you're using is, one, not going to be way too close where you can't see any of the background of the image, but also not too far away that the actual product you're selling is really, really small in the frame. We want to make sure that people can read what our shirts are saying, what our sweatshirts have on them, but we also want to give the idea of this being more of a lifestyle item. So having a few things in the background is totally fine and just is going to add to your mock-up. Now, the next thing that I think can really make a big impact on your mock-ups is being able to use seasonal mock-ups. Now, this is another thing that I think is really easy to do if you have some kind of a mock-up subscription service like Placeit, because they have thousands of holiday themed and inspired mock-ups that you can easily use and switch out. So what I really like to do if I'm making a Halloween type design or even like a 4th of July design, I'm going to go over to Placeit and I'm just going to look up some of those keywords and find mock-ups that really go along with that theme. And this can just help your mock-ups actually get clicked on when people are looking for items in those specific holidays, and just add a little extra something to your listing to help you stand out amongst all the other people that are using really generic mock-ups. Now, another thing that I really like to advise people to do, if they are selling a shirt with multiple different styles or even multiple colors that you think look really good with this item, I recommend using a mock-up that shows off more than one shirt or item. Now, Placeit has a ton of options for this. They have mock-ups with up to like 6 different apparel items or multiple different mugs, multiple different tote bags. So if you have a design that has a lot of variations to it, make sure you show that off in the first picture. Now, this next thing that I want you to think about when you are making mock-ups is going to be making sure that the design on your mock-up is going to be the same size as your actual design on the product that you uploaded. Now, I see this as a newbie mistake all the time. You created a really good design, you uploaded it to Printify, taking up like the full canvas on the shirt, as much space as you can. But then when you make the mock-up, a lot of people, they don't think about adjusting the size to match exactly what is going to be printed on their item. So maybe the mock-up is a little bit smaller, or they make the mock-up like so much bigger than you're actually able to print. And so then when people click on your mock-up and then end up purchasing your item, they feel a little bit misled because the design is a little bit of a different size than the one that actually gets delivered to them. So I always like to make sure I am referencing what my product is going to look like, so you can go back and look at your Printify listing. You can see kind of those auto-generated mock-ups that they made for you and try to match the size that is going to be on those mock-ups that you're making on a place like Placeit. So that way you're not going to risk getting customers that are requesting returns or having complaints because of that small fix that you can easily make. Now, along with that, another thing that I see a ton of people doing when they are first getting started making mock-ups is not paying a lot of attention to what type of item they are selling and then not matching the mock-up mockup with that. So say you are selling a Gildan t-shirt. Well, over on Placeit, you want to look for t-shirts that look very, very similar to what you are selling. But sometimes people, they just click on a model that they like, even if she's wearing something like a v-neck t-shirt, or this is a solid color, but they are making a mock-up on a heathered style t-shirt. Now, these are really subtle nuances, but again, these can be things that lead customers to complain or say, hey, this looks different than the actual product I was sent. So I don't think you have to use the exact same product type for all of your mock-ups, but you want to make sure that it looks as close as possible, and you can't tell that there's a lot of differences between the mock-up you use and the actual product that is going to get sent to the customer. Now, if you implement all of those tips, you're going to be way ahead of a lot of other people that are making mock-ups, and just by changing out that mock-up, you are already going above and beyond a lot of people who are just doing the bare minimum and not even worrying about their mock-ups. But now let's just jump right into a quick tutorial of how I make mock-ups in just a couple minutes. All right, so I am logged into my Placeit account. Like I said, if you don't have an account, you can create one down below in the description. I will have all the information down there for you. Now, like I said, Placeit not only has tons of mock-ups, you can also make designs here, you can make logos. They even have a place to make video mock-ups, which is super cool. Another great way to help your items actually stand out. But I'm going to show you how I really quickly make a ton of mock-ups. So I'm going to go over here to their mock-up section and go down to apparel, and we're just going to go ahead and look at those. Now, like I said, Placeit pretty much has any kind of product you could want to sell. So if you're going to do something like mugs, they have those, t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, they have things like journals, and you can really sort through all of those here. So if you're looking for something hyper specific, there's a really good chance that Placeit has a great mock-up for that. So let's just scroll through here until we find something that really catches our eye. Now, there's tons of these flat lay ones here, but I think I'm going to specifically look for one with a person in it, like I mentioned. Now, this one is really cute. That could work well, as well as her here that has a little bit of interest around it. But let's keep looking here. Actually, I kind of like this pose here. I like having the arm doing a couple different things, and we're going to crop this so you're not going to see her face in it, but I think this one could really work. So let's go ahead and click on her. Now, once you get over here, all you're going to do is click this part right here where it says design. So this is where you're going to upload your design artwork that you created. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You can either upload from your device, or if you've recently used it, it's going to be here in your recently uploaded. So I'm going to use this fun summer design that I created. So like I said, you want to pay attention to how this is actually positioned on the item you're selling. So on my listing on Printify, this is definitely taking up a lot of the canvas, and it's pretty high up here. So I'm just looking over here on the model and making sure that this is going to look pretty close to what I am actually selling. All right, so once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to go ahead and click crop. And then the shirt that I'm selling it on is more of a sand color. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color here. You can do a custom color, or they have a ton of just swatches that are really commonly used. So once that is looking good, we are going to go ahead and crop this to the size that we want to sell on Etsy. So what we do is we're going to go over here to where it says download and click that. Now it's just processing our mockup. Now, once that's done processing, we're actually going to click this icon here that means crop. So we're going to do that. Now, the sizes that I like to use for Etsy are going to be 2700 by 2025. That's just the optimum size for that thumbnail on Etsy. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to use this here to zoom in, and then we're going to adjust that. So I'm going to zoom in pretty close here. And then, like I said, I kind of like to crop right under the chin to kind of that belly button area and make sure that looks good. I could even go a little bit higher if I wanted to, but it's totally fine to have some of this background here. In fact, I think it actually really enhances your mockup. So once we're happy with it, we're going to go ahead and download that. Once again, it's processing this here. And then once it's done, we're just going to click here to actually download that to our computer. And then we will be able to actually use that in any of our listings. Now, that just took me about a minute to find and create that mockup and crop it to the right size. And the more you do of this, the easier it's going to get. Now, if you want even more ideas of how to create really stunning mockups, I want to recommend that you watch this video next. And if you've never created a free or subscribed to Placeit before, I will have all their information linked down below so you can try them out and get started with them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.